Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shimada Bhakti-vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vishakadesha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 11, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dvaraka, text 32. Yeah. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-yoga Swami Prabhupada. So, do we have to repeat? You have some? Tamatma Jaya Drishtibir Antaratmana Duranta Bhavak Parire Bire Patim Nirudam Apyashravat Ambunetrayor Vilajatinam Briguvarya Vaiklavat Tam Atmajaya Drishtibir Antaratmana Duranta Bhavak Parire Bhire Patim Nirudham Apyashravat Ambunetrayor Vilajatinam Briguvarya Vaiklavat Tam Atmajaya Drishtibir Antaratmana Duranta Bhava Parire Bhire Patim Nirudham Apyashravaram Bunetrayor Vilajatinam Briguvarya Vaiklavat Atmajai by the sons, Drishtibi by the sight, Antara Atmana by the innermost part of the heart, Duranta Bhava insuperable ecstasy, Parire Bire embraced, Patim husband, Nirudham choked up, Api in spite of, Ashravat tears, Ambu like drops of water, Netrayo from the eyes, Vilajatinam of those situated in shyness, Briguvarya or chief of the Brigus, Vaiklavat inadvertently. Translation: the insuperable ecstasy was so strong that the queens who were shy first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their hearts. Then they embraced him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace him, which is equal to personal embracing. But, O chief of amongst the Brigus, though they tried to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears. The Prabhupada's purport: although due to feminine shyness, there were many hindrances to embracing their dear husband, Lord Shri Krishna, the queens performed that act by seeing him, by putting him in the course of their hearts, and by sending their sons to embrace him. Still, the act remained unfinished, and tears rolled down their cheeks despite all endeavors to check them. One indirectly embraces the husband by sending the son to embrace him, because the son is developed as part of the mother's body. The embrace of the son is not exactly the embrace of husband and wife from the sexual point of view, but the embrace is satisfaction from the affectionate point of view. The embrace of the eyes is more effective in the conjugal relation, and thus, according to Srila Jiva Goswami, there's nothing wrong in such an exchange of feeling between husband and wife. Tamatma jaya drishtibir antaratmana duranta bhava parirebire patim nirunham apyashravat ambunetrayor vilajatinam brigo bharya vaiklavat. The insuperable ecstasy was so strong that the queens who were shy first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their hearts. Then they embraced him visually, and then they sent their sons to embrace him, which is equal to personal embracing. But, O chief amongst the Brigus, though they tried to restrain their feelings, they inadvertently shed tears. So this is Krishna returning to Dwaraka. So in the beginning, let's see in the beginning and give some synopsis, some summary. So before coming to the entering the city, Krishna sounded his conch shell, so everybody was aware. There was no internet to tell everybody the Lord is arriving, please come. So, no social networks. So he did that by blowing his conch shell. Then they knew he was arriving. So then everybody came out to greet him. And then they offer prayers. That's in the beginning. This is very appropriate. When you receive an important personality, they should be received with a certain ceremonial way of treatment. So in this case, of course, the Lord should be offered prayers. And then everything was decorated with fruits and flowers. Even that we don't have nowadays. The ground was sprinkled with scented water. I mean, imagine, and not some artificial scented water, it's natural perfume. Which would be very costly nowadays. You cannot get practically a pure perfume, very difficult. Every door of the houses was decorated. And then all the relatives, because in Dwaraka, Krishna, as we know, had 16,108 queens in palaces. So everybody was coming out to greet the Lord. And practically the whole city was coming. Even the artists, the singers, the dancers, the speakers, everybody was coming to greet the Lord. And now this description is specifically about the queens, the wives of the Lord. So, which is interesting is how they behave. like in the previous verse, let's read that one. The queens of Lord Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband coming home after a long period from abroad. So they got up from their seats and meditation. As was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly and looked about coyly. And in this verse also, this is Prabhupada's first sentence says that due to feminine shyness, there were many hindrances to embracing the Lord on his arrival. So what I would, what we could think about is how this is so much different from today's society. Feminine shyness practically doesn't exist, right? Well, why doesn't it exist? Because nobody wants it. Especially the men don't want that. They want women who are not shy, because when they are shy, then it's difficult to have access to them. And when they are not shy, when they're very free, then you can easily make a connection. So that's the whole purpose of, that's how Prabhupada explained it, because when he came to America, and it was the 70s, the women's liberation or getting rid of shyness, this so-called shyness, was very prominent. And it's still there. Feminists have an agenda all over the world. Still, especially in some of the countries where there may be some rest of shyness. So they are fighting to not be shy. And that should be accepted by society. Now, Srila Prabhupada explains that this whole movement of liberating women from their shyness is actually a trick by the men. They encourage this, so they can then take advantage of the liberated women. Right? But even Krishna's queens, they're married. It's not just anybody, and they are still exhibiting this shyness, and we are probably very surprised to hear about this. They don't even come forward to embrace him directly in public. Nowadays, there's nothing wrong with that. Embracing is now, you do a lot more in public, and nobody cares. So they don't do that. They send their sons as representatives, practically. As Prabhupada says, the son is developed as part of the mother's body. So he can present the mother when the little son embraces the father. So that's basically, the situation. So anyway, we don't have this nowadays, and if we would try to even speak about it or introduce it in any way, all the ladies will protest, right? Even devotee ladies will protest. Nobody wants. Most of them, not all of them. And sometimes you have this, actually a kind of division amongst devotees, those who are more liberal and those who are more conservative, isn't it? Yeah, you have it amongst men, and you have it also amongst the ladies. One of the first things that disappeared is covering the head. If if some of the even devotee ladies nowadays in certain temples cover their head, even then, they will look at it, what's wrong with you? We are not Muslims, So, like, in India, it has become very normal. The sari will just go over the shoulder. It will not go over the head. Many. Just in the villages they still do this, but not in the cities. Definitely. So that's also a sign of shyness. One is actually, in some parts, if you have been to India, you have noticed. You have been to India, when they even cover their face, some of the ladies. It's like, the equivalent of the Muslim. They just leave this small... I mean, for us, it's like, this is absolutely unacceptable, right? We think. But if you think about it, it's not as unacceptable as it looks like. I mean, now I'm going to say things that will cut my head off, What's the idea? The idea is, it's a wife, and she's not meant to be looked at with, or be attractive to other men. So if the wife goes out into public, if she is like just as normal, and that's happening, then other men are just, if she's beautiful, if she's attractive, everybody will turn their heads. And some may even try to approach. And they don't care if there's a husband. Certain men, that's their game. And if necessary, shoot the husband and take away the lady, So that kind of culture, the idea is, we don't present ourselves in public so that nobody will even have, it's just generally, I mean, that's the extremist, the black, just everything black, just with, the eyes, you don't even see the eyes. They can look outside, but you cannot look inside. So it's only a black black piece of something, not attractive at all. Nobody will look at this. So that's basically the idea. Whether that's wanted or not, that you decide. But I think the principle is not bad. Because the other way, what we have, is causing so much misery. When women are just out there, and not just, I mean, it goes from extreme, you see the different stages. So the extreme stage is the black thing with just a little bit of something. Then the next stage is covered, but the face is not, right? And there's difference even amongst the Muslims. Some are more extreme and the others then are more, moderate. They will just cover their head. Then the next stage is you don't cover your head anymore. Then the next stage is normally you have covered your upper part of the body, and it's not, you don't see any forms. White dress. The next stage is you take off the covering, and then some shape is visible but not very distinct. Then the next stage is you take off the upper part, then you have, some view, not much, just a little bit. The next is more, and then next is, here I am. And then when men come forward and, want to get there, then, and so, the shyness is a protection in one sense, yes. And, I mean, it's such a, when people speak that, I'm just going to say it because it's if you think about it, I don't care if people don't like it. This Me Too movement, right? You ever heard about this? The Me Too? Me Too? No? You don't know what this is? There's many complaints, especially about women, that men approach them inappropriately in business, in their work, anywhere, practically speaking. It started with some actresses when they were in the movie set. there may be the director, especially one of those producers, Harvey Weinstein, who is very famous for making he has made a lot of very blockbuster movies, millionaire. So he was then accused by 1, 2, and then Me Too. I'm also. They had all experienced that he or touched them, or even forced them, or blackmailed them. If you want to have the next role, then come, let's have a good time. So he took advantage of his power and influence to get women to have a relationship with him. And in many cases, apparently it was like forced, even physically forced. But they didn't dare to say anything, otherwise they would lose their job or whatever. So that became, one started to come out. He did this to me. And then others go, oh, me too. I'm also, right? That's the move. You look up Me Too, you'll see, it's a big thing. Because that he was the first big case. Now everybody else is also coming. He did it, he did it, he did it. But then, the other that nobody talks about. Why do they do this? Because the women are there presenting themselves as a very attractive object. If they would all be black with this thing like this, he wouldn't approach anybody of them, right? I mean, that's the extreme view. So that's all I'm going to say. But it's not like, it's only the men who are the bad guys because they are lusty. Why they become lusty? Because the object of lust is presented. I mean, it's right in front of you in so many ways, everywhere, right? The whole society is made like that. Yeah, I mean, wherever you go, especially in the summertime, you can't avoid it, And then, of course, you use makeup and you use so many things. Why? To be attractive. That's the idea, I think. Isn't it true? Why you do this? I mean, not you, but, why would they do this? To be attractive. So, but actually, every woman should be married. That's the Vedic civilization. Yeah. And then they have a husband. And that's the only person you should be attractive to. And therefore, I think it's in Krishna book even, but at least Prabhupada talks about it. When the husband goes away, the woman doesn't dress herself nicely. She doesn't use anything to make her beautiful, the hair, and she practically doesn't leave the house until the husband comes back. So that she's not attractive to anybody else, which normally will happen automatically. Cannot avoid it. So we may not agree, but I mean, if we understand things properly, we should agree that this is better than the other way around, where everybody just, is there and basically waiting that some men that I also like will come to me. Then if somebody comes I don't like, then you get all upset. I mean, that's but it's Kali Yuga. So because we have grown up in this society, and so for us it's normal, right? And when we hear about these other things, that's like thousands of years ago or hundreds of years ago. It's old-fashioned, and so we don't agree, and even the devotees don't agree. They think this is no, we shouldn't do this. So this description, it's like Krishna's wives, but it's not applicable. We don't have to take any lesson from this. Especially feminine shyness. Is it really necessary? Is it wanted? So you can make interview all the different devotees in the different temples. You will be surprised what the result will be. What do you think about feminine shyness? Do you think it's something we should encourage, or should we get rid of that? Let's see what they say. What do you think? Yeah, I mean, it's, depends what you want, actually. No? Depends what you want. If you want to control a little bit, which we should think is good, to control the interaction between male and female, is that we should control it or should just go naturally? What's better? People think, no, it should be just open for everybody, do whatever you want. And we understand if you do that, then you are getting more and more bound up in the material world. Yeah, isn't it? People think this is something desirable, that we should be just free to enjoy with whoever we want, anytime, anywhere. And we say, no, this is not a good idea. Because if you do that, then you have to be born again for sure. So therefore, we have marriage, that's the idea. No other type of relationship is approved. And then even, the whole Vedic civilization, the idea is to restrain or at least regulate the relationship between male and females. Because all trouble, most of the trouble we experience comes from inappropriate male-female relationships, isn't it? Yeah. Most of the movies, that's the main theme. In many movies, that's the main theme. Inappropriate male-female relationships resulting in murder or whatever, some disaster. Right? So, anyway, it's very difficult. We're living in very difficult times. And the difficulty is that devotees are many of them don't understand this. So they also become victims. And it's nothing new. It's not just now. It happened already 50 years ago. And Prabhupada tried to regulate by marrying them. And then he saw that very soon they were just jumping around, leaving the husband or the wife and going with somebody else. And he was basically disgusted. He said, I don't want to have anything to do with it. If you want to do this, it's on your own responsibility. Because he took responsibility in the very beginning, tried to combine them so they would live peacefully, be satisfied with your wife or your husband and for the rest of your life. And they're not. After some time, I don't like her anymore, or she's getting old. Where's the young, beautiful one? So it's happening, not everywhere in the world. Both in normal society and even amongst devotees happens. So that's a big obstacle for spiritual advancement. Anyway, we have here the perfect example of Krishna's queens, who were very shy, and they are the wives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They could be very proud, huh? Why being shy? Nobody would tell them anything. If they would do whatever they wanted to do, my husband is the Supreme Lord. Huh? Yeah. If you're the first lady, the wife of the president, or nowadays the daughter, you do many things normally nobody would do. Huh? Yeah? Because you're in a powerful position. Next to the powerful, you're also powerful. So the queens are giving a perfect example of how the ladies should behave. But here it is, and it's closed in the book. Nobody knows about it, nobody wants to know about it, nobody thinks about it. Any questions? Krishna. Who knows what will happen in 100 years, or even less than that, huh? No?
I want to ask, we are not living in a Vedic society,
Right.
and there's the women these days should work or something, should give the child kindergarten, and it's difficult to apply Vedic system sometimes because of economic problems.
Right.
The women sometimes should work and associate with men.
Yeah. No, that's the problem. We don't have a Vedic system, and it's, as you say, not it's only difficult, it's practically impossible. We don't have it. So what to do? And the other aspect, when you say, yes, women work, why do they work? Because they don't want to depend on a man. And why do they don't want to depend on a man? Because men are not dependable. That's the problem. Some are, maybe you are, but you also know others who are not, right? Would you want to be the wife of, you can think of, who do you know of certain people who will say, oh no, Because, today maybe yes, but tomorrow then I have my child and will be alone, and I don't have any career, I have nothing, no way to make money, and then we're going to be just miserable. I don't have rich parents, no rich brother or sister, I'm alone with a child, no work, no career. What are you going to do? Find another man. And he's maybe worse than the first one. Oh. That's the, so that's happening. So therefore, be careful. Better get a job, get a good education. So in case of need, you can just be, independent. So, you understand?
По-добре жената да има някакво образование и да бъде независима, ако остане сама, да се изкара пари да работи.
So there's no solution, eh?
Няма решение на проблема.
Not really. So we have to just suffer.
Просто трябва да страдаме.
That's all. But at least I think theoretically we should, that's important for devotees, we should appreciate or even find it desirable that a Vedic society, we should understand that the Vedic type of society is definitely better and superior to present day society. And I'm doubtful whether everybody accepts that. We are contaminated, but we think this is actually the most advanced society in history. And to go back to something like this, feminine shyness, this is like the Sharia, the Taliban type of society. We don't want that. I mean, you can see that they are ignorant. I mean, maybe somebody will hear and they will kill me, Yeah, it's not, the Muslim society is not Vedic society. Right. So, therefore, who would want voluntarily join ISIS? Some do, imagine. Where they want to introduce the Sharia type of society. You know that, no? You know what I'm talking about, ISIS? They want to, establish a caliphate. Sharia means the very strict Orthodox Muslim law, where everybody has the black thing, and goes like this. Yeah, or the Taliban are like that also. No education for women. They're not even probably, I don't think they go to school. Many things they're not supposed to do. So in present day society, this is like, going back to the Middle Ages. And nobody agrees, except for those people, nobody in the world agrees to that. Right? Now, Vedic society is not like that. But some principles are, basically the principles are the same. That's the point. Yeah. Like, I give you an example. It's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, as far as I remember, that in Vedic society, in a house or in a palace, the living quarters of the men and the ladies are separate. The ladies live in the inside, completely protected, and the males are on the outside of a residence, not just a small house, a big house. They have a courtyard in the middle, then the female quarters, and the males are outside. And during the day, there's practically no interaction. Even husband and wife. Then, of course, they have their family life. But it's not like today everybody is mixing in any way, anywhere, and So the idea is separation to not agitate the minds. Yeah? So many, these Me Too, why does it happen in the workplace generally? In many cases, it's the relationship of somebody who is employed, and then the boss takes advantage, or somebody who has the power, and takes advantage of a woman. So if they would be protected at home, this wouldn't happen. Very simple logic, huh? And then what to speak of the children? Because if you have this scenario with what we do have, because it's not sufficient for one to work, you have to pay the rent and the car and the this and the that, and one salary is just not enough. That's everywhere. It's the same story. So both have to work. So that means the child, or even children, they have to go to the kindergarten. And in some cases, all day. Early morning, they're dropped off, and late at night or in the evening, they're taken back. And basically, who do they relate to? To the people in the kindergarten, or to their parents? Or the mother is then so tired, just wants, if the child wants to have it's too much. After working all day long, then now you have to take care of a child. My God, get a nanny, earn money, and pay somebody to take care of it. So then, it's not what should be. The mother should take care, should be able to be peaceful. Husband is responsible. He earns enough, and I don't have to work. I can take care of the children all day long. That's the ideal. No, what are you talking about? People will get all upset if you say that. But it's the most logical thing in the world. Is it logical to drop off your child with somebody else for all day long and you work like an ass? That's crazy. Whoever thinks like that, they don't understand really things as they should be. They're just contaminated by today's society and are, basically an illusion. It's an illusion. You think this is good? How can it be good? Don't you agree? I mean, ideally, the man should be able to maintain the family and be so responsible. There's no anxiety on part of the wife that he may go away anytime soon. No, they will stay all their life together, and she can be peaceful. Don't have this anxiety that, who knows, I should get a job because maybe tomorrow I'm alone on the street with my child. So this is Kali Yuga. That's what it is. So it's not the best age. And even in Kali Yuga, even 100 years ago, things were a lot different, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. But we become accustomed. That's Maya's trick. You can become accustomed to anything. Huh? You can even become accustomed to be a hog. We think it's normal, especially if you're born into it.
Ако си роден,
You don't know anything else. It's
нищо
like
друго не знаеш, само това знаеш.
my mother always has worked. My grandmother works.
Майка ми всички се работи,
So, you know, now I will have to work.
и аз сега трябва да работя.
That's how a young girl may think.
Така си мисли малко.
We don't, and then you read something about this is 5,000 years ago, and it's true. You know, nowadays you cannot apply it.
Днешно време не може да го приложиш.
Where are you going to apply? How are you going to apply it?
Как ще го приложиш?
So, what to do? Suffer
И какво да правим? Страдаме.
and chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, and hope for the best. You know.
Приемаме присъдам на другите, всичко най-добро.
Yeah. And then we can try to do something. In some places they will try to establish some, you can say, some version of Varnashram,
Версия на ваша.
which obviously, if you can do it, it's better than nothing. Eh?
По-добре е малко, отколкото нищо.
It will be very difficult to introduce what is in the past as it was, but maybe some aspects you can do.
Някои аспекти може да направите.
Yeah. And that's better than nothing.
Това е по-добре от нищо.
This you can do in your own farm communities if they're well organized, and you can produce your own needs. You don't have to go and work. That's the undesirable thing, is to have to go to some other person, a non-devotee, and work to get money.
Най-лошото нещо е да отиш при някой непредан да работиш за него.
That's what Prabhupada's vision was. Devotees should be able to maintain themselves by their own work with land and cows. That's the idea.
Реално данните трябва да се поддържат сами с земя и край. Това е била идеята.
But because that implies a relatively simple life, most of us are not interested.
Но повечето от нас, понеже това е прост живот, не сме заинтересовани.
Right? Better is to get a computer,
По-добре да има компютър,
a phone,
телефон,
internet connection,
интернет връзка
and make money by phone calls.
и да правим пари от обаждане с телефона.
Why work with an oxen on the land? You know, that's for
Защо
low-class people.
да обработим земята с...
Yeah, somebody like Krishna and Balaram, you know, they do this, but I'm not going to do that.
Аз няма да го правя, някой ще го прави, но аз няма да го правя това.
They are cowherds, you know.
Те са страхливци. Хубави са кълбои.
Vrindavan is a village. It's not a city, you know. Dwaraka is actually a city, but it's still, you know, they don't have Wi-Fi, I think. You know, so who wants to live in Dwaraka? Not us. Huh?
Не, не аз.
So that's our condition.
Това е нашето състояние.
Yeah. Well, let's see next life.
Да видим следващия живот.
Depends where you are born in.
Зависи къде си роден.
Maybe in Afghanistan.
Може би Афганистан.
Yeah, no, what can we say? You know, it's not easy. So, I think it's time, right? You can think about it. Give some good arguments why I'm wrong. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sisi Gaumita Gauravani ki jai.